Hey everyone, welcome to the final week 5 of our study through 1 Thessalonians. Thank you for hanging with us. I hope that this has been good for you. I hope it's been encouraging. I hope that it's been appropriately challenging as we've looked in at this big idea. Holiness is more than God having all of you. It includes that we need to give all of ourselves, have all of ourselves set apart for Jesus, not just part of our lives set aside for Jesus. But holiness is more than that. It also means that God is expanding us, that He's growing us, that He is increasing our love more and more. All throughout 1 Thessalonians, we read Paul saying this: we urge you more and more what you're already doing. Keep going. We really see in 1 Thessalonians one of our church's values fleshed out. Take your next step. Now, as we land the plane and close the book on 1 Thessalonians, what we're looking at is Paul giving some encouragement in light of the return of Jesus. Now, he doesn't give us a lot of details at all about when Jesus is going to return, what it's going to look like, what that experience is going to be like. As a matter of fact, he's rather vague, and some of us wish that he would be more clear. It might be to our benefit that he's not more clear. I'm not kidding. Hands down, the best insight that I have ever read, heard, or come across in my life regarding the return of Jesus came from Pastor John Steer, who was the faithful lead pastor here for 3 decades. Where he said, the return of Jesus, it's not about speculation. It's about application. And as we go through 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, Paul uses beautiful imagery. He uses some very direct engagement to help us understand how to apply what it means to live our lives in light of the return of Jesus. And as you're thinking about that, I just want to ask you this question. And because you're in small group, you're getting a little bonus content. This is not something that we're included in the message. But when you think about that, how do you respond? Would you find yourself, well, because I know Jesus is returning, I feel hopeful about that? Would you find yourself on the other end of the spectrum saying, you know what, I feel a little anxious, maybe fearful about that? There's another response. It's maybe somewhere in the middle and it's indifferent about that. Do you think about the return of Jesus? Does looking forward to His return impact how you think? Because how we think impacts every aspect of our lives. That's why Paul continues to weave in time after time throughout chapter 5 of 1 Thessalonians imagery about the importance of the way that we think. So I want to challenge you. I want you guys to talk about that together. Are you hopeful? Are you something less than hopeful? And if you're somewhere on less than hopeful, I want you to talk about that. I want you to lean in. I want you to ask yourself, and I want you to discuss, why might that be? Because for all of us who are followers of Jesus, we are in Christ. This is a cause of hope. And hope in the New Testament never means something that we wish will be true. It is something that we are confident and certain is true. We just haven't experienced it yet. So as you talk about all the things that we got to talk about in the message, as you talk about what you read in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, and as you are processing that, remember, it is about application of living in light of Jesus' return. I hope you have a fantastic conversation. We began a brand new series next week called The Great Divide. This is a perfect series to invite a friend. This is the perfect series to invite someone who has big questions, maybe even doubts, maybe even skepticism. As we're going to build up to Good Friday and Easter, we're going to tackle a number of big questions that everyone has to wrestle with, both believers and non-believers. I hope that you'll be a part of that. Again, have a great conversation. We'll see you next week for The Great Divide.